Thank you for joining us. This is the WYI Podcast. Wow, you're interesting. It's a podcast for interesting people. And here, today, we certainly have an interesting person with us. You might have heard him before because he was on our very first episode, and now he gets to be on our second. This is Doogie Lish Sandtiger, the Croc King. Doogie, welcome back, and thank you for once again sitting down for the WYI podcast.
Appreciate you guys having me again. Ready to talk Croc talk.
And there is a lot to talk about, Doogie, because the last time we spoke, it's been months. It's been since like FY22 since we last spoke. It's been either October or November, and a lot has happened since then.
Oh my goodness, so much. My life has changed so much. It's a lot. We got a lot to cover.
And I can't wait to go into all of that. But before we do, I just wanted to ask you about this because this was a question that I had last time. And I was kicking myself for not asking you this. Other people asked me about this. And this question is, if Crocs could give you your own exclusive pair to create, what would the DLS collab Croc look like?
Oh boy. Oh my goodness. I have lots of ideas, but I know one thing I would incorporate into it. One of my silly mantras that I have is can't spell good vibes without Doogie. So if you write that down, good vibes, the DOOD is DOOG in my name, and then the IEs and vibes. I thought about it. I would have that on both straps, the back straps, the left and the right, so good and vibe. And then I would have it designed in a way that if you flip the strap forward, you ever see like those drawings where if you look at it one way and you flip it upside down, it says either something else or it says the same thing or in a different way. I would do it like that. So it says good vibes.
That's cool.
And then just a bunch of cool colors. I like Crocs so much, as is so evident. And I would have lots of cool things just related to me and my life and the pursuit of being the Croc.
So when you look at that Croc, you're going to think, this is Doogie Lish Sandtiger in Croc form.
Yes. Or the Croc King or Croc Hunter, or I have so many monikers now. Now I got Croc Daddy. People are calling me everything now. I'm reading all the comments online.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite one?
I'm thinking I kind of like them all because each nickname has its own like personality and its own persona in this entire journey in and of itself. The Croc King is its own thing, Croc Hunter, Croc Daddy, and even my name is just a character as well. So
absolutely, you don't meet a lot of Doogies out there, and you're one of them. And so basically what happened last time was you came here, we spoke, you're like, John, I can't really tell you about most of the things that I've been doing, so we're going to have to wait until legally I can tell you. And now we're there. So tell me all about what you couldn't tell me last time about that show that really jump-started all these other interviews and appearances. Tell me all about it.
So it goes, let me start from the beginning. So it goes back to around, I want to say like April or even March of 21. I was on my Instagram and I get a lot of random DMs from people. And there was this one that kind of struck me more than the others. It was just some random lady. And like it was an older lady. And that is not at all the demographics I get. I am old lady. Definitely not. And it was just like, hey, I'm a producer for Vice TV and blah, 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 blah. You look cool, sound cool. I've been looking at your posts. And we're doing pre-production for Most Expensivest with 2 Chainz. And we're interested if you want to be on the show or want to know where you're at. And at first I thought it was a scam. I was like, no way.
Yeah.
No way. Because I get a lot of weird messages, people asking for money or free Crocs or free this or free that.
It's Instagram, man. You're going to get a lot of that, I'm sure.
Hundreds and hundreds of messages. In fact, sometimes I'll like weed through them and find who's
Yeah.
legitimate and legitimate people messaging me, and that's how I found that. But anyway, to make that long story short, because it's not that interesting, I hit her up. I was like, "What's the worst that could happen if I message her back?" And then I was like, "All right, what's the catch here?" She's like, "There's no catch." Like, the premise for this new season 4, is most expensive collections, and they wanted to do a whole new focus and theme, because in previous seasons of most expensive, it's basically the one percenters, the richest people on the planet doing crazy things with 2 Chainz, and this season's just regular people with really expensive collections and expensive things. So we worked it all out, and then months and months and months and months later, finally October of 22 comes around, and that's when we had our filming date. There was a couple setbacks in between then, but went on, brought some of my craziest, eclectic, most interesting pairs to set. Got to meet 2 Chainz. It turns out his daughter was actually a huge fan of Crocs, and he brought one of them there. She was excited to be there and meet me, and it was weird. It's like she came up to me and was like, "Oh my God, hi Crocking," and I'm like, "There's so many other famous people in your life that you meet, and other people here, and you're excited to meet me. That's so cool." And like it was just so special and fun to show 2 Chainz and everyone on set all those pairs from my collection. And I think one of my favorite parts of filming the episode was Crocs has 2 scented pairs. There's that Kentucky Fried Chicken pair,
Yeah.
the KFC pair, and then the Cinnamon Toast Crunch
Ooh.
collab. I brought both of those, and 2 Chainz sniffed them, and I was like, "Oh, he just sniffed my Crocs."
Yeah. So they're worth more now.
Yeah. 2 Chainz sniffed these.
That's awesome.
It was honestly a dream come true. It was so cool, and then one of the other, like, I've talked about my bucket list all over everywhere, and
Yeah.
one of the things on my bucket list is be on a TV show, and who knew that I would ever cross it off? A lot of the things I put on there just seem so outlandish. I'm like, what happened? What if I do?
Yeah, sometimes in life, things like that just come up. So that's amazing that it all came from an Instagram message.
From an Instagram DM that wasn't even in my regular inbox. It was in my
the
other
box.
folder.
Who knows what's in there? That's like all the weirdos who you're not friends with. But I mean, it's a good thing that you went through that, or you never would have ended up on TV, and you never would have ended up with all these opportunities to speak at other places too. Now, how long did you film for that 2 Chainz show?
It went by pretty quick. That was what made it really cool, actually, was with all these setbacks, and the way it worked out was National Croc Day, which is an actual thing. You know how they have National everything.
Yeah.
National Puppy Day and
Yeah.
National Cookie Day. National Croc Day is October 23rd. That's their birthday, and it happened that weekend. And I was like, and it was not planned at all. And I remember, I was like, wait a minute, you guys know that this is like National Croc Day, right? Like this whole weekend. And they were like, what? It's meant to be. And it just worked out that way. And it was just, and for the record, Crocs turned 20. And this year on October 23rd, they will be 21. So
Wow.
Crocs will be legal to drink.
Finally, right?
Finally.
So speaking, before we go back to your other appearances, I want to get back into communication with your fans and maybe even some haters.
Oh, yeah,
So speaking of Instagram messages, besides the one from the producer of that show, what were some of the best messages or comments that you've received from some of your fans or followers?
I get so I get equal love and equal hate, and I'm cool with it. It's just the yin and the yang of life. That's just how it is. And some of my favorite messages are just people who tell me, like, hey, their story of why they love Crocs too, and how they can relate, or even if they don't even love Crocs, they're like, I love your personality, and you've helped me come out of my shell, and you, like, they say that I used to never have confidence in anything, and my Crocs are part of my self-expression, which gives me confidence or helps boost that confidence. And those are some of the cool messages I get, just people saying how it's really cool and they love my collection. And part of the fun of this collection is sharing it with the world and sharing it with others. And then a lot of times other people will send me like pictures and videos of their collections too.
That's really cool. So, have you
Yeah.
met other Croc collectors through this?
I've met a couple here and there, not too many. Not too many in real life. I've met
Okay.
with the way the world has been, meeting
Yeah.
them online. It's totally cool and accepted. It's
Yeah.
fine, and I'm okay with that. But I love messaging, or when people message me and we talk about it, talk about our Croc collections. And then like people will be like, "I only have 20 pairs. I'm gonna catch up to you one day." And I'm like,
Okay, good luck.
"Listen, it's not even the number that counts. It's what if you love it,
Yeah.
then go for it. Collect, do what makes you happy." And I love that. I
Yeah, if
love that.
collecting makes you happy and all these new Crocs makes you happy, why not, right?
And just the connections too, everybody.
Yeah.
Like it's weird, kind of, to say like, "Oh, I'm part of the Croc community," but it's really cool and fun and supportive. And it's like, so to answer the other part of your question about the hate,
Yeah.
oh my god, so much of it.
Are they usually
So
like the
much.
same type of hate, or is it all over the place?
Lord,
What are the haters like? Like, what are the haters saying about Doogie?
Oh man, I don't even know where to start with that. It's a lot of people think I'm wasteful. They think I'm stupid, and these are PGer words that
Mhm.
are in choice words that I'm using. But a lot of people, the problem is people don't understand, and people become ignorant when they don't understand something because we all fear we don't understand. They
Yeah.
see, they're like, "What is the point of all these rubber shoes?" And then people make it personal. They think about their life and they're like, "You're wasting your money. You could spend that on X, Y, and Z." And then, like, they're thinking in terms of they can't afford their bills or they're living paycheck to paycheck. And they just assume that everyone else in the world lives that exact same way. And they
Yeah.
can't think outside of that box or outside of that worldview that people have other interests and hobbies in life other than being miserable. And some people are so miserable that they hate seeing happy people and they try to stab them and stab them and stab them. And trust me, I've been just destroyed online. In the beginning, I wasn't ready for it. Like,
Mhm.
right. When all my Croc stuff started going viral, I would get all these like crazy, I even got death messages and death
Was this
threats.
before the show, the 2 Chainz show, or after?
A little bit of it was leading up to it because even prior to the 2 Chainz show, I had a couple Croc related posts and photos and things go viral through the internet.
Mhm.
But then even after that, it just went out of control. And I don't even want to repeat some of the things
Yeah.
that people have said, but it took a little bit of me kind of getting callous over it. I guess that's not really the right word. It's just reading through it. I'm like, you know what? These people are out of control. They don't know me. They don't know my life. They don't, and I'm doing this for me, not for them. And now I got mad in the beginning. Don't care anymore.
That's great. So, do you just delete them, block them, not even look at them?
So it's impossible to read through them all. Like I get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of messages, but I try to because you never know. There's some gems in there, like some really good ones and really good connections I've made.
Mhm.
But then I will see them, and now I just laugh it off. Or even like say Reddit, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Reddit. Oh, that's a
Ooh,
dark
Reddit.
place.
Yeah, there's some characters over there on that Reddit.
Oh man, they hate me on Reddit.
Well, I think Reddit hates Crocs more than they hate you, and because you like Crocs and Reddit doesn't, that's probably why they dislike you. If they got to know you,
I definitely
they'd
got murdered
love you.
on
Yeah.
Reddit. But yeah, no, but that's the thing too, is a lot of people at first, and these are my favorite interactions, is when somebody just spews any hate or jealousy at me, and then I'm like, let's just have a conversation about it. Like, let me explain to you X, Y, and Z. And I think people have let up a lot more now that, and this is a perfect segue into like all the other shows I've done and the radios and the newspapers and things like that, because they've dug into my backstory and a lot of my life and my upbringing and my history,
Yeah.
which then once you put that perspective and context into it, people realize, okay, maybe it's not that weird after all, or you know what, that's kind of a cool story. And then that heartfelt aspect to it, people can start relating to. At the beginning, I guess with no context, you just see, man has 2,000 plus pairs of Crocs.
Yeah.
I could see why people would be mad. I
Yeah.
can see it.
Absolutely. Like, I remember it was so funny. It was probably right before we had the the first podcast, I was listening to the Joe Rogan Experience, and I remember they brought up Idiocracy because Mike Judge was on, and this made me think about you, and he just was starting to trash Crocs. But back in 2004, Crocs was considered a startup because, like you said, they're just about to have their 21st anniversary. So when they start, 2002, 2003.
2002.
So they were very early on. And so I guess the costume designer for Idiocracy, but it was a low budget film and they had like no money. But the lady was like, look at these. They're horrible plastic shoes. We could really save a whole lot of money if we just put them on everyone. And then Mike Judge said, what if by the time the movie comes out that they become popular and everyone's wearing them? And then the costume designer was like, that'll never happen. And she was half right because they didn't really pick up steam by the time that it came out. They were a little bit popular, but nothing like what they are now with the collaboration and the money that's in Crocs and the amount of stores that they've established just for Crocs all over the nation.
And
they've
the world,
really blown up.
They're huge worldwide now too.
Yeah, they are. So it's really cool. When I think about Crocs, the business, and then when I think about Doogie, the person, you were both underdog stories. You both succeeded and conquered the odds against you. And now look at you.
Wow, I've never thought about it like that. That actually gave me chills. It was really cool. I've never thought about it. We're kind of we have this correlation and we're synonymous with each other, and we have those parallel stories, which was always meant to be.
It was always meant to be. From the first moment that you saw that lady gardening with her black Crocs on, right?
They were purple.
They were purple.
My first pair was black.
Okay, so I didn't completely misremember it. So she had purple Crocs on. You're like, those are pretty cool, but they'd be better in black. And then you got the black. Now, do you still have that OG pair of Crocs somewhere? Do you know the number ones? No,
that's heartbreak. So there's actually a story behind that too.
Okay.
I remember the exact date they were stolen too. It was March 17th, 2013, which is St. Patty's Day. I was at a concert and I had a bunch of stuff in my car, and I was couch surfing, living with friends, and in and out of my car, and et cetera, et cetera. And I had a lot of stuff in my car at the time, including bags filled with my immediate belongings.
Yeah.
And that first pair, I took with me wherever I went. It was in one of the bags that the people, they broke into my car, ransacked everything, took everything. So I do not have that first pair. Wish I did.
It'd be cool, man. It would really fit in somewhere in the Croc Museum. Now, have you thought more about the Croc Museum since we last left?
I've thought about it. I mean, I haven't taken any steps towards it, but
yeah,
right now it's just so much has been happening and so much has been going on.
Yeah.
And I'm close. I'm definitely closer now into making moves, but still I'm soaking in all this media frenzy and getting used to everything and getting used to doing these podcasts and these shows, and still hunting Crocs, because hunting Crocs alone is a full-time job.
I bet. And it's got to be hard staying on top of the more recent collabs and when they're announcing the collabs and when they're going to come out. You probably got to be way ahead of everyone else. You probably got to pre-order at just the right time because there's just a certain number of them.
Yep. Or they sell out and then people sell them for hundreds, if not thousands of dollars.
Have you ever had to buy one off of those people?
Oh, yeah. All the time. The time. There's a lot of pairs, and we probably vaguely touched base on it last time, but a lot of pairs I've spent hundreds. I have at least 20 pairs I've spent over $1,000 on the resale market, just because there was so limited or such a high profile collaboration, and I knew that there was no other way of getting it. And especially now in the technological world we live in, people have bots. They bot them out.
Mm-hmm.
They buy out all the stock with them, and then they screw everybody else over. Makes me mad. I wish there was bigger in-store releases for these kind of things.
Yeah.
But when there are, I do go. And there's actually a sort of big release coming up in, I think it's in a couple weeks.
What is it?
It's a collab with I don't even know if I want to say because I don't want everyone to buy it. But no, it's a clothing company, fashion wear company, Bodega. They have a really cool pair coming out, and I like how they're doing a simultaneous release in store and online. So I'm gonna get there early the day it releases and get a pair there. And who knows? Also, if they happen to sell out, I'll have my phone up too, and hopefully I'm bound to get one at some point, either on my phone or in person. I don't care. I'm getting them. They're really cool.
Will. The Croc King always gets his Croc, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, so again, before we go over the shows, I was thinking about last time. Now you've counted your Crocs. What number are you at now?
So this morning I was like, I can't stay at this number. This morning I was at 2,191, and I was like, I want a nice even number for when I do the podcast. Let's get the 2,200. So I bought 9 pairs, and also not only is 2,200 a really cool number, but if you do the math, 365 days times 6 years, that's 2,190. So I can wear a different pair for 6 straight years without repeating, and then I have those 10 extras for maybe a leap year or two in between there, and then a few extra miscellaneous pairs, whatever. So we're at 2,200 now. Still I know.
Amazing. Like that's probably like 300 more than the last time we spoke.
Yeah, I think I was
or around there. Yeah,
like 1,800 or 1,900.
Yeah,
or
I think it was like 1,888 or 1,988, some sort of number. Like you were just about to hit 2,000, and I remember you were saying, "Yeah, once I hit 2,000, maybe I'll talk to the Guinness Book World Records." Now, have you spoken to them recently?
So they actually reached out to me,
Of course,
which is crazy because so once I hit 2,000, I was like, it doesn't feel like that big of a number, and like I've looked through the record books of other collectors and other collections, and I'm nothing in that category. Like there's people with like 6,000 pairs of shoes, 7,000, 10,000 plus. So I was like 2,000, and it's beatable. So I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to reach out to them. I'm going to keep going. And for whatever reason, I established in my brain that I was like, I'm going to reach out to them when I hit 3,000. So that's the next target.
Okay.
But then with all this media frenzy, it got back to them.
Mm-hmm.
They had emailed me, and they also DM'd me on Instagram too.
But they didn't show up in the other folder.
Nope.
Weird, right?
But so I saw it right away, and they're like, "Hey, we're like really excited for you, and we want you to get everything together and start the submission process again, and blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Well, I kind of have 3,000 in mind," so I was like, "I will, get the very vague early stages of it started," but I told them straight up, I was like, I want to hit 3,000. I think that's a really cool number. That'll be really fun to do a photo shoot with eventually when I get that number and be in one of the print books. Oh yeah. So I told them I'm in no rush, whether it's next month or next year, or it's gonna happen. I mean, 1,000 came and went quick, 2,000 came and went quick. I think I'm pretty adamant that at 3,000 I will submit, because then by the time the whole submission process is accepted and we do the photo shoot, I'll probably be at like 3,200 by then.
Yeah.
And then be in the print book, which to me, that is one of the most exciting parts of all this. It's just like how many times, and you know what? I won't speak for anyone else. I'll speak for myself. I remember being a kid and going through the lore of all the Guinness books, the print books, and thinking how cool it was, and seeing all those colorful photos and all these crazy records, and just my mouth open in awe and shock at how like either interesting or cool or weird or funny or quirky. And I always thought how cool it would be to be in the actual physical book itself, because people don't realize there's 2 phases to a Guinness World Record. There's just simply owning a record, being in their database, which if they have an online database of every single world record ever attempted and succeeded, and that is on file and on record in their database with them. And then obviously of those tens of thousands of records, you cannot realistically print them all out every year, because then you would have ridiculous books that are the size of Noah's Ark,
Yeah.
and it would make no sense. So they choose like the coolest and funnest ones and the best optics for the print books every year.
Oh, that's gonna be you, man.
Yes.
That's so
Yes.
awesome.
So can't wait till that happens.
I really like how at first you went to them and now you blew up so much that they're chasing after you. They want you in that book. They want you in the next one, but you're like, nah, I think I'm going to wait because no one's going to catch up to you. They're not even close. I bet they don't even have half of the amount of Crocs that you have. I bet they don't even have the amount of gibbets that you have. How many gibbets do you have? Do you know?
So so the record itself and what I'm striving for is just anything Crocs footwear. Now, I do also, independent of my Crocs footwear collection, do collect all sorts of Crocs memorabilia, which includes the gibbets and even other articles of clothing. Like they have, they just started getting into the sock game.
Ooh.
And I'm even wearing some Croc socks right now.
Perfect.
I actually love their socks. They have very few selections of hoodies and sweatsuits, and then they have like older vintage things like hats and shirts, and there's other cool trinkets and toys and figurines and lanyards and koozies and stickers and toy boxes and et cetera, et cetera. But they've done a lot of stuff like that. So those I don't keep track of what number I'm at because it's just not part of the record or what I'm striving for.
Yeah.
But gibbets, I have more gibbets than I do Crocs.
Whoa.
Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands.
Do you buy them individually or they come as like sets or
both? So a lot of times they do come individually, but then like a collaboration, let's say with someone like Post Malone will come out and he had a pair that he's had multiple, but some of them come with the gibbets packs with like 5 on them separately that you have to buy. But then there's also lots of pairs that come with the gibbets already attached to them.
That's cool. So you get the gibbets as well.
Yeah. So I have anything Crocs branded. And that's the whole goal and idea with my Crocsium.
Yeah.
Is just have it just all crocked out. Crocking and rocking out with everything and anything I can get my hands on that's Crocs related or Crocs brand.
So speaking of that, I was also thinking, now do you ever buy used Crocs or do they all have to be new?
I buy used Crocs all the time.
Okay, great.
I mean, if it's in like ridiculous beat up shape, absolutely not.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But there are like, for example, Crocs has been around since 2002.
Yeah.
If there's a pair from the early stages, there's no way you're going to find a brand new tags, never worn.
Yeah.
A lot of times somebody will sell a pair, they wore it once or twice, gently worn. As long as it still looks good, still looks wearable, absolutely. I do not discriminate against used Crocs. I'm actually totally for it. Especially sometimes there will be a collab that sells brand new for $1,200 or worn a couple times with a couple wear and tear, and now they're selling it for $400. Wow. I'm totally okay with the $400 pair. That doesn't have the tags on.
Yeah. I'm okay with the 400. I mean, it's still worth something, right? And even if it was worth not a lot, it would be sentimentally worth something to you. Now,
just for the collection purposes alone, that's worth everything to me. And a lot of my high profile and rare pairs I wear. So a lot of them I don't even keep for collectible purposes.
Yeah.
Because
you wear them for wearing. Yeah.
At the end of the day, like my days on earth are numbered just like everybody else's. What's the point in having them all sit there and collect that? No, I want to wear them. I want to rock them.
Yeah.
I want to love them. Like part of the fun is wearing them.
Now, would you ever sell or trade your pairs?
I have never once sold a pair in my life. I never plan on selling. I'm not into the reselling game. I'm actually super against it, even though kind of like a catch-22 because I have some of the pairs I have to buy off the resale market.
Yeah.
Which I'm against because now I'm enabling the resellers to keep reselling, but I'm like, there's no way I'll ever stop it. There's no way they're ever going to stop. There's nothing I can do.
Pretty much, yeah.
And I want to get them all. But as for trading, I don't think I ever would unless there was like a pair I was dying to have.
Yeah.
And I had an extra pair of another pair that somebody wanted or something. That would be like the only situation. Never sell. Don't want to trade. Just want to keep collecting.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
You know,
for the love of the game, man.
The simple things. Now let's talk a little bit about some of your other appearances. So after this 2 Chain, the most expensivest, after that, what was the first show to contact you? Doogie, we need you on here. You're so incredibly interesting and awesome, and want you to tell your story about your Crocs. Who did it? Who approached you?
It was kind of like a lot happened all at once, and I think the reasoning behind all that is Connecticut's such a boring state. Like we're so tiny and in the middle, like the corner, nobody really knows who we are, and a lot of like newspapers or radio outlets or media companies, they see like, oh, local Connecticut person does X, Y, and Z, and then they all feast on it. So when they saw, I had posted all the pictures and videos and things of me doing the 2 Chain show, and when it finally aired, and people started reaching out to me, and I'm like, yeah, I did this. Yeah, I'm from Connecticut. Yeah, because we talked about it. And I think one of the first might have been Hartford Current, actually. But I had gotten contact with it. It was so many things.
Yeah.
I was overwhelmed. I was like, I don't know who is who, and now I don't know who's scamming and who's real.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? The worst that's gonna happen is I'm just gonna talk to random people about my love for Crocs, and what are they gonna rob me? So a lot of times I met in like public places, like public parks or whatever, and brought like some of my choicey cool pairs, and did photo shoots, but then that's from there it blew up, Hartford Current, and it spread all throughout Connecticut of pretty much every newspaper in Connecticut, and then it spread beyond that too. Like I never thought it would reach outside of Connecticut, but then I was in like the New York Post and the New York Times, and then I had radio stations calling me from not only different states but different countries.
Wow.
Countries I've never even heard of.
Like which ones?
Like, man, the best example I can give you is Malta. I remember when I got the guy who hit me up from Malta. He's a producer and radio DJ kind of guy. He's like, "Hi, I'm from Malta." Well, this is all through Instagram.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hi, I'm from Malta. We want to have you on for a segment, et cetera, et cetera." And I'm like, "What is Malta? I don't even know what that is." I was like, "That sounds like some kind of beverage." I Googled it.
It is, I think, right?
Yeah, like, something like that. I don't know. But I Googled it. I was like, I'm such an idiot. It's a country in Europe.
Yeah.
And
they're the Connecticut of Europe.
Yes, exactly. But then, like, all over it, I did like an interview for Sweden, for Norway, and like I lost track of all the countries in the UK and England and Europe and all there, and even like New Zealand. I was on one of their major morning shows.
Gotta wake up early or stay
for
up
me,
late
I
for
didn't
that.
actually have to. It was like I did it. It was like an afternoon taping that we did over Zoom or whatever. And for me, it was like 5 p.m. For them, it was like 5 or 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And the same with like Malta. I did it. It was a night for me, but it was like, it was like very early for them, something like that. And then I've done like several in Canada, and
wow.
And it's all forms of media. So there's newspapers, there's radio shows, live and taped, and a lot of Zoom networks, and people record me on Zoom, and did a couple podcasts. Whew. And then even just like, if you just Google it, like so many other countries and places come up that did articles or took info from other articles and then did their spin on it. And
yeah.
It's so meta now. It's just become this wild, outlandish thing, because people see like the headlines, "Man from Connecticut with 2,000 pairs of Crocs," and then people are like, what? That sounds outlandish. That sounds crazy.
It is. But it's amazing. And you're the only one in the whole world who does this.
I know. It's so weird. I don't know. It's like 7.5 billion people. And it's just, I don't know. It's a weird feeling, but it's cool. It is cool. I am enjoying this just because Crocs are part of my everyday routine.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, like every conversation somehow, no matter how serious or how silly, I always incorporate Crocs.
Great. I mean, it flows, it's like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah. Crocs Gibbets all day, every day.
And so out of the so what was the first TV show you were on after this one?
First TV show probably was it was called Breakfast. That was the one in New Zealand, and that was the one over Zoom. I'm trying to think because I've done a couple other ones. I did one for ABC called Chronicle. That hasn't aired yet, but it's okay with me talking about it.
You can talk
That
about
one
that
I can
one.
talk about.
So you had to go down and they physically filmed you somewhere
Yeah,
or in
that
the
one-
studio or something?
Yeah, that one was at actually, it was even cooler. It was at a Croc store in Boston. So
Oh,
I went
so
out to
cool.
Boston. That was a lot of fun. And I had never been to not only that Croc store specifically, but a Croc store in Boston or Massachusetts in general. And when I go into new Croc stores in new states, I'm like kid in a candy shop.
Absolutely.
Like, I walked in and they were like ready to film immediately, and I was like, nah, let me I gotta like bounce around.
I gotta look. I gotta just I gotta feel how this Croc store is different from the one that I know in Connecticut. What's your main Croc store in Connecticut?
There's only two Croc stores in Connecticut. There's one at the Clinton outlets in Clinton, Connecticut, and then there's the one at the Tanger outlets, which is inside of Foxwoods. But the one I frequent the most is Clinton. Just easier
Yeah.
access. Don't have to like navigate through the
whole
entire
casino.
casino.
It's giant
It's
there.
such a process.
Like
And then
I love
people
those
smoke
outlets,
there.
but just getting there and all the people
Yep,
like spraying you with
yep,
stuff and
yep.
asking if you want this expensive skincare product.
I'm like,
and,
no, leave me alone. I just want Crocs.
and then you gotta walk all the way out there past the casino into
So
the
much
parking
work.
lot. When with the one in the Clinton outlets, you can just park and walk in and you're good.
Walk in, everything's right there, and so that's my favorite one. I mean, just for convenience purposes. But it was really cool seeing one in Boston, and then a couple months ago, I flew down to South Carolina and I visited a Croc store in both South Carolina and in Georgia. So it was cool
That's
seeing
cool.
their setups, and as I'm saying, every time it's a lot of fun. So now I have this like low key thing. I was like, I want to try going to a Croc store in every state now.
Yeah.
And then I want to
That-
try
that
to go
could
into
be-
other ones in other countries.
Yeah, add it to the bucket list and you'll make it happen, I'm sure.
Always making it happen. So that was fun. But there's a lot of shows I did over Zoom. Like, I'm be honest, I've lost track of how many shows I've done so far or how many interviews I've
Yeah.
done. Like well over 50.
So many with Zoom. Zoom really helps connect the world
It's great.
recently. Especially after the pandemic, it really blew up. Everybody's using it for their podcasts and for even their TikToks or just to have a regular conversation. So, now what about the radio shows? Have you enjoyed doing those? I know you've done a lot of them. I saw you on Chaz and AJ. That was the
Yes.
first one I saw you. What
Yes.
was that one like?
That was so I don't know, they got word of me and the situation just like everyone else does. They hit me up on Instagram just like everyone else in a DM, and little did like I was unaware of them and their show and their style. Should have Googled them first before I agreed to do it because they're silly and
They are silly.
Yeah, they're very silly.
That's their appeal.
yeah, and
Yeah.
not a lot of people can handle that, but
You can, right?
yes. So the first contact I had with them is like, hey, we want you to call in. Well, we'll do a quick 10-minute segment, and that's all it was supposed to be, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't realize how like sassy they are with their you know what I mean?
I know
Like,
exactly
yeah,
what
yeah.
you mean. They're all sassy
Yeah.
over there.
So I'm doing the podcast, and actually, sorry, the radio show. And even before that, the night before,
Mm-hmm.
I Googled them, and then I saw like they post like their lineup like the next morning.
Yeah.
And then I found my little snippet and it said dumbass news from Connecticut. I was like, oh, jeez,
no.
what am I getting into? What is this?
No,
What
they just did it after their dumbass news segment. I know about their dumbass news segment. They just talk about
Weird
dumbasses
things.
in the
Yeah,
news, and they
yeah.
can be anywhere. And then they had you.
Yeah,
on
and
after.
yes. So then I called in and they're just like all the people who don't understand. They're firing at me, and I like their approach, and I don't think they expected me to have an answer for everything and to sass them back. And they loved it enough where they afterwards are like, hey, we really need to have you back on. We want to meet you and we want to see some of your Crocs. So we arranged it, and it was like a couple weeks later. I went into the studio.
Cool.
Yep. And I brought like just a few pairs for them to see, and they showcase some of them, and some of them tried them on, and it was a lot of fun though. They're really cool. They were really cool, and actually meeting them face to face and having them ask me other questions and delve deeper into the story. And one thing that we agreed on, and I hope they hold their end of the bargain. They said when I get to 2,999 pairs, hit them up. They want to be the 3,000th pair. And I said, hey, if you guys are down for that, if you guys hold your end of the bargain, I'm all for it. And I'm totally stoked about that. So I know that pair is coming.
That's great.
Down there.
That'll be a fun visit.
They were a lot of fun.
Did you take any calls? Like, did they open it up for people to just call?
No, it was, and this is part of the fun too of talking with all these people and all this media stuff.
Yeah,
is even when I went in studio with them, I think it was only supposed to be like maybe like 20 or 30 minutes, but then they're like, we have more questions for you, and every question they asked led to another question, and then we started. They're like, who are you, and is Doogie your real name? And I'm like, it is, but I changed it. And they're like, whoa, there's a story for that. They're like, you have a story for everything. I'm like, yeah, I've lived a wild life. I do have lots of stories.
Can't fit you in a 10-minute segment. It's just not so possible to fit. I've tried it before, Doogie, remember?
Yeah.
In college?
Yes.
And I remember it was the documentary film class, and we were all supposed to do like a feature on a really interesting person. And luckily, I knew you, and you were going to Southern at the time, and it was perfect. And we started talking about everything that happened in your life. And at that point, you weren't even really known for your Crocs. You didn't have this massive collection that you do.
A few back.
Yeah, you only had a few back then. And even still, we had to cut stuff that I had a really hard time cutting out. Because just so much stuff has happened to you, and to see you just blow up, but because of this is a wonderful
thing. It's so random too.
Yeah,
like
it is.
Of
but
all
it's great.
the things that I can say it. I can only say it so many times. Like I never went into the Croc game for this to happen. I think that's part of what people love is it's just like an authentic story of just someone legitimately enjoying Crocs or just having a passion. It could have been anything, really. I think just because of how passionate I am about the things I enjoy and care about, it could have blown up with anything. It could have been Pokemon cards for all I know, but it just happened to be Crocs that I really got into. And I'm gonna keep riding this wave because I really want to do that Croc museum. And
you will.
I've even evolved to I want to down the road is I want to build a house shaped like you fly overhead, you see this massive structure that's shaped like a Croc, and I even planned out like the holes will be like windows, but I also don't like too much sunlight, so a lot of those windows we're gonna get rid of and put big statues like gibbets,
big giant gibbets.
Yes, massive gibbets.
Awesome. I love that. I love how the thought of the Croc Museum has evolved. And that's pretty much going to be like your massive storage space for all these Crocs, right? Because right now, I was wondering about that too. So obviously, your living situation, you only have so much space, so you have to take out storage, right?
I not for my Crocs.
No.
So I still have plenty of room for them, and I'm actually looking to upgrade like sooner rather than later. By the end of the year, I wish I had time to build that massive Croc masterpiece house now. Yeah. But in the interim, I'm gonna buy a bigger house and set it up there, and maybe even start the mini Crocsium. Yeah. And with the goal with that is to hit 3,000 in that mini Croc museum. Yeah. And then kind of have like this mock ribbon cutting ceremony for Guinness or the representatives You can have it a bunch of times. Go with the Chamber of Commerce in town, get them down there, get the town and the mayor down there, and get everybody down there. And I think once I reach that, that's when I'm going to actually then put all my energy and efforts into building this massive Croc-shaped house structure, Crocsium, whatever you want to call it, and just kind of keep going from there. Keep going. At this point, Crocs is part of my personality. Yeah. It's in my DNA. Like it's impossible. Like I'm synonymous with Crocs now. It's like no matter what I do,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm okay with it.
Good.
I'm gonna be like the little old lady who lived in a shoe.
With
Except-
the gazillion shoes.
Except I'll be the little fat man who lived in a Croc.
Doogie, you are beautiful.
Appreciate
You are a beautiful man, my friend.
Thank you.
So, your life has obviously gotten busier since we last spoke. So, how do you control your schedule these days? Like, do you just wing it? Do you have to have a calendar? What do you do?
So it's kind of a little bit of both. I don't have this is all me. I'm doing this all myself. I don't have an assistant. I don't have any help. I kind of like it that way because I like to be in control of my life and in control of my own narrative.
Yeah.
I want to be able to know what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, how I'm doing it, what days I'm doing it. But a lot of times these shows or people will hit me up and they'll be like, "Hey, do it this day, this time." And I don't like when you box me in with one single.
Yeah.
So my general response to all those is pick 3 or 4 dates and times
Yeah.
that you think will work for you within the next couple of weeks, and I will pick because now I know they work for you. So I will pick one of those 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I know it works for you. Now I know which one of those 3 or 4 or even 5 work for me, and we go from there. So there was the silliest one I want to mention was I was at work and a representative for ABC hit me up and was like, "Hey, we wanna talk to you." So then I had to excuse myself.
Yeah.
And I was in a training.
Oh no.
And then they called me. They're like, "Yeah, you're really cool, X, Y, and Z, and we want to do a story on you, and it's gonna be all over. It's gonna be on Good Morning America, and it's gonna be here and there, and across all of ABC's properties and networks." I was in my head, I'm thinking, "Oh, that's gonna be so much fun."
Yeah.
What is my? And I was looking at my I had the phone on speakerphone.
Yeah.
I was looking through my schedule and I was like, what day am I free? And they're like, "All right, so we're gonna call you back in 30 minutes and we're gonna do it." I was like,
"Oh, no.
Whoa. I was like, "Oh, in 30 minutes?" And I didn't want to lose that opportunity.
Yeah.
Because ABC's big. Good Morning America and even Jimmy Kimmel. I would love to meet Jimmy Kimmel one day. That's one of the things on my bucket list. So I was like, I'm definitely gonna make this work. So kind of disappeared for a little bit and did the interview and that was the only one that was very impromptu, right then and there. Generally,
the audacity.
I know, right? It's people have lives.
Yeah.
Do they not realize that?
They're like, "Well, we really need this footage, so we'll talk to you in a half hour. Yeah. It's fine, right? It's fine. We're ABC."
So that's the vibe. I was like, yeah, they're ABC. They could do what they want. And I accepted it. Yeah. And it was really cool, and it was really fun to do that one. But generally, most places will say, "Hey, are you free tomorrow or the next day?" And they'll give me at least a few days or a week or two to prepare or to figure out a time. So it has been very busy and very hectic. You are correct.
Have you ever thought about giving them, "No, this is my availability. You have to work on my schedule, and you tell me what works based on have you ever done that before?
I'm not at that level yet. Maybe one day when I'm that huge.
Now,
I won't be.
It's not an ego thing. It's an availability thing, right?
True.
It's, and you're in demand. Everybody wants to talk to the Sandtiger.
But yeah, if they propose dates that I don't think work for me, I'll tell them. Yeah, I'll just be honest with them. I can't do it this day. I'll do it that day. Yeah. But I usually lined them up pretty well.
Yeah.
There's been a few days where I've had multiple interviews back to back to back within a 4-hour span. So I generally ask how long do you think it's going to take? Because, I like to be a man of my word. If I say I'm going to be on the phone or on Zoom with you at 3 p.m., I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
You told me to be here at 6 p.m. I was here at 5:48. I like to be safe. I like to be early. Like to honor my word.
Makes sense, they're taking some time, you're getting some exposure. Now, have you ever been compensated for any of these appearances?
Oh yeah.
Now, you don't have to say exactly, but are they do they cover your gas or expenses? They're worth it, right?
They make me happy.
Okay, great. I'm so happy to hear that because I really believe that you deserve to be compensated for all the entertainment you're giving them and materials and everything.
And I am enjoying. I am having fun and meeting new people and networking and telling this story and And a lot of like the field I work in, I work with children, and it gets back to the community, and I feel like I'm giving back. And Crocs, to me, what made them so special was it was that form of communication and expression for me. I wasn't always this weird, bubbly, outgoing personality. I was so quiet and reserved as a kid. So now to have Crocs as that vessel to help me express myself and communicate with other people, to me, that's the biggest gift of all this. Like their motto is literally "Come as you are."
Perfect.
And I love that because it literally says, "Be you, be yourself, live your best life." That's literally the bare bones of what that means.
Yeah.
That's the best way to live.
It is the best way to live, my friend. Now, I've been thinking, now, with all these appearances and everything, if there could be one person who you could go on a Croc shopping spree, because I was thinking about when they filmed you in the Boston store, is there one celebrity or famous person who you would love to go on a shopping spree with, Croc spree with?
Do I have to choose? Do I have to choose one? Can I choose? Like,
tell me. Yeah. Okay. First, tell me the first one, and then the second one, and then the third one. Pick three.
Okay. So one of them would definitely be Jimmy Kimmel. I love his show. I've been watching him forever. And also, like, low-key, I want to meet Guillermo more than I want to meet Guillermo. Guillermo's like the funniest guy ever. And Jimmy actually, within the last few months, released his own collab with Crocs.
Perfect.
Now he has his own pair too. So I know he's at least generally aware of the Croc universe.
Yeah.
So, and he must like him enough to make his own pair.
Yeah.
But for bigger celebrities, well, I wouldn't say bigger, but rather for other celebrities that I think I would have a very jolly time with. Somebody like Post Malone, that would be so cool.
Yeah.
Because I like his personality and my personality would definitely vibe, and we'd probably party a little bit and just do a whole Crocs shopping spree. That would be fun. And then the last person would never happen because he has no idea I exist. Tom Brady. He's one of my favorite people ever on the planet.
You've been on a lot of radio shows and TV shows. There is a chance greater now that he knows that you exist. There's probably a lot of famous people who know that you exist now because of all this exposure that you're getting. Because you're that guy now who's like, hey, did you hear about the guy in Connecticut? He's got like over 2,000 pairs of Crocs.
If this got back to like I always tell people, like, Tom Brady is my father, and I love him. No, that sounds weird, but I really do. I've been a fan of him since I was a little kid. I mean, he played for 700,000 years.
Yeah.
So I was literally drafted in I was 9 years old when he was drafted. Like I was a little kid. Wow. But to do I don't even know if he would even like Crocs. Like, is that even his sense of fashion? I don't know, but maybe sure I could get him into Crocs.
Or his kids, probably got some. So
hopefully his kids will get him into Crocs, and him and I will do a jolly Crocs shopping spree. That would be really cool.
Man, that'd be cool. You know, I have a feeling. I bet you'll end up on Jimmy Kimmel. It's only a matter of time for that.
As long as I get to do a shot with Guillermo, I'll be. You know, I'll know I've made it in this world.
Right? So I got one more question for you. Oh, looks like one of the cameras went off. That's okay. It was just my camera, not your camera. Your camera's the real one that matters. It's not blinking red or anything, right?
No.
Oh, good. Perfect. That means sweet. So I'm not going to worry about the one that was pointed at me. But I got one last question.
Sure.
Do you have any more media appearances planned?
I do have multiple. I wish I could talk about them.
No. You don't have. You don't have to. But so, where do you have them planned up to date wise?
Where are you at now? Right now, we're only out till like June-ish.
Mm-hmm.
One of them. There's another really big one coming up. That one, I'm hoping will start. We're in the pre-production stage for that, but I have one really big one coming up and a couple other smaller ones, and then like as these keep airing, like it keeps spreading, and other people in other countries and other places keep hearing about it, and I think a lot of people are rooting for me to get to that new goal of 3,000. So
yeah, I am.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I think a lot of people are going to keep reaching out and keep staying connected with me because 3,000. Once we do that, It's gonna get out of control after that with Guinness and everything else.
It will, and I can't wait for that to happen. I just know that, and we'll talk again. We'll talk again. We'll wait.
Definitely.
We'll wait for the number to climb up. We'll wait for more things to happen, and I just can't wait for your future, your immediate future, because I have a feeling you're gonna meet some really interesting people, and that will probably unlock some doors for you. Maybe you'll get some sponsorships.
Yeah, right. That would be crazy. Maybe I'll get free Crocs for life.
I hope so. Dude, Crocs really should be hooking you up at this point, because like you are basically you're greater than their spokesperson.
I know. I
They
don't even
have
think they
one.
have one.
They
really.
probably
This is an audition. Maybe that's what this is all for. It's an audition for them.
hire him, Crocs.
Hire me.
Well, Doogie, thank you so much for coming back and joining us on the WYI podcast. And listeners, thank you for listening. Stay tuned for additional episodes in the future with more interesting people. I don't know how we're going to follow this one, but we will somehow. Doogie, thank you so much.
Appreciate you. Thank you.